What is up guys, Beto here bringing you UA Class 1A Student Power Levels Explained, where I'll be going down each individual student from Class 1A and give a short explanation of their quirks and ranking them on my personal power scaling list. Now my list is organized in three main parts. You got low tier, which means you're pretty garbage, but that's okay because you're not a main character. But you can still improve if you believe in yourself hard enough. Then you got mid tier, which means you're good, you got potential, don't worry about it, you'll get there. And then you got high tier, which means you think you're hot shit, don't you? Well, you are. You're at the top of the crop, and that is saying something because UA is a very prestigious school. Now, I had also added an upper side and lower side within each separate tier level. And finally, let's get started with the list. Going down in order by seat number, at number 1, we have the very flamboyant Yuga Aoyama with his quirk Navel Laser. That, well, lets him shoot a laser out of his navel. And I'll be honest with you guys, I think he's a funny guy, but I'm not going to be impressed with him until he shoots a freaking Kamehameha right out of his belly button. That tiny 1 second shot ain't gonna fly. So I will be putting him at lower mid tier. Now at number 2, we have Tenya Iida with her quirk Acid that allows her to shoot out a corrosive liquid from her body and can control its solubility, which she has used in the past to create a powerful solid acid wall to protect her from attacks. So yeah, that's pretty cool, but we have not really seen her fight, so I'm putting her at lower mid tier. Now at number 3, we have one of my personal favorite characters, Asui, and her quirk Frog Form, which allows her to do anything a frog can do, such as jumping long distances, sticking to walls, extending her tongue out to a maximum of 20 meters, and can lift someone with it. What can that tongue not do? So yeah, I am putting her at standard mid tier. Next we have at number 4 the president of Class 1A, Tenya Iida, with his quirk Engine that manifests in the form of engines in his calves, giving him super speed, and his engines also have multiple gears that he can switch into depending on the situation. And I'll be putting him at lower high tier. Now at number 5, we have the girl who defies the laws of physics, Uraraka, with a quirk Zero Gravity, and it allows her to make objects she touches weightless or float in midair. She can also fly to a certain extent, but we know that she often suffers from nausea when she goes over her weight limit of around 3 tons. She's definitely one of the stronger students, so I'm placing her at upper mid tier. Now at number 6, we have Manga Ojiro with his quirk Tail. And yeah, that's about it, just a tail. But don't be putting him down, he can still kick some ass. He's one of the most capable hand-to-hand combat fighters in the class. He's pretty much Karate Kid with a tail. And I'll be placing him at standard mid tier. Now at number 7, we have another one of my favorites, Kaminari, and his quirk Electrification that allows him to shoot electricity from his body. However, if he exceeds his wattage limit, his brain goes full dirt for a while. But you still gotta love him, he's got heart, man. And I'm placing him at lower high tier. Now then, at number 8, we have Jiro Kirishima with his quirk Metapod, I mean hardening, which gives him the power to, well, harden any part of his body. Lucky bastard, I can only harden one part. Now there is a limit to how much damage the hardened skin can withstand, and after that limit has been reached, the hardening will slowly dissipate. So I'll be placing him at upper mid tier. I was really tempted to place him higher, but I think he just needs a little bit more work. Now number 9, Koda with his quirk Animal Voice, which gives him the ability to command and control animals. So think Dog Whisperer, but with all animals. Now again, we have the same problem we had with Mina, of not seeing a character enough. And don't get me wrong, his quirk sounds useful as fuck, but we have not seen him do anything crazy with it. I think we just saw him messing with some birds and bees. So I'll be placing him at upper low tier. Next we have at number 10 the Takeo lookalike Koda and Sato with his quirk Sugar Rush, which allows him to boost his strength by 5 times for every 10 grams of sugar he consumes. Some people have all the luck. However, when converting sugar into strength, his cognitive functions gradually drop, making him very sleepy afterwards. Shit, that sounds like me after eating some chocolate ice cream. And I don't even have this power. Fuck. Now because I'm a salty bastard, I'll be placing him at upper low tier because his power is broken as fuck to all of us food lovers. Now after that awkward moment, we have number 11 Shoji with his quirk Dupli Arms that allows the tips of his tentacles to replicate parts of his body. He can also use these tentacles to make duplicates of his body parts, such as an extra arm, and he can use them as decoys. So first off, I would like to say this guy looks badass. I even thought he was a ninja at first, but now I know better. And this one was a tough one because I know he's a strong guy, but I feel that we need to see him in a proper fight, so I had to place him at upper mid tier. Now at number 12, we have a character that blew my expectations right out of the water. She literally skyrocketed to almost the top of my list. Just a few months ago, I would have placed her at lower mid tier or standard mid tier, but now she put in the work. That character is Jiro with her quirk Earphone Jack, which allows her to plug the jacks that hang from her earlobes into all sorts of things and channel the sound of her heartbeat into them. The vibrations then causes havoc inside the objects. So based on one of the recent chapters, I have decided to place her at lower high tier. You guys who read the manga, you guys know what I'm talking about. By the way, on a side note, am I the only one shipping her and my boy Kaminari? Because they look real good together. This shit must be named Team Rockstar. Now, moving on, at number 13, we have Seto with his his quirk named Tape, which allows him to eject a cellophane tape-like material from his elbows. And yeah, this one's a pretty straightforward one. And honestly, I don't really see Seto getting much stronger unless he comes up with a technique that allows his tape to envelop everything within a 15 to 30 meter radius of himself and calls it Tape World or Rap Center or something like that. So yeah, unless that happens, for now he'll be placed at lower mid tier on my list. But if I ever need help wrapping Christmas presents, I'll know who to call. Now at number 14, another one of my favorite characters, the lovable Chunibyo infected crow student Fumikage Tokoyami, and his quirk Dark Shadow, which is a sentient shadow-like monster that materializes from his body and can be used for a number of purposes, such as attack, defense, and support. The personality, strength, defense, and control of Dark Shadow depends on the lack of light in Fumikage's surroundings. During the day, Dark Shadow is weaker and smaller in size, but still has considerable strength and defense, as well as being easier to control. During the night, Dark Shadow grows significantly stronger and bigger in size. However, Dark Shadow becomes more difficult to control, which can result in Tokoyami losing control over his quirk and it going on a rampage. Now, as you can see, his quirk is very versatile and powerful, which makes it unsurprising that I am placing him at standard high tier. Now at number 15, we have a fan favorite. You know him, you love him, your favorite firebender, Zuko, the fallen prince of the Fire Nation. Sir, it's not Zuko, wrong show. What? But he has a scar on his left eye, you sure? Yes. Alright then, sorry about that. We have Shoto Todoroki with his quirk half cold, half hot, which gives the right side of his body the power to generate ice and his left side to generate fire. It also allows him to use his fire and ice to raise or lower his body temperature. And the drawback of his quirk arises from his need to maintain his own body temperature. Excess use of his ice power causes Shoto to suffer from frostbite and his attacks as a result become weaker. However, he can counter this drawback with his firepower. Now, he is capable of using these two abilities simultaneously. However, he has said that he is not used to doing this and still needs practice in dual wielding his quirk. Now, many of you are probably saying, come on man, quick plan. We know you gonna pick him as the strongest, why front? And to that I say, fine, you guys got me. I'll be placing Todoroki at upper high tier. But listen guys, just because Todoroki may be the strongest now, does not mean he's gonna stay at the top. There are two people in particular that are already near him. And you guys could probably already guess who they are, but we still got a few more to go, so you'll find out soon enough. Now number 16, we have Toru Hagakure and her quirk Transparency, which turns her body completely invisible. Now let's get this out of the way. I don't believe her power is just to make herself invisible. I actually think it's probably more so related to bending the light that comes in contact with her skin, which is why we still see her clothes when she's wearing them. Now I would definitely love to see how she looks. Maybe Eraserhead will cancel her quirk for us one day. But as you guys know, we have not really seen her fight except recently when she used Solar Flare to blind some people. Now I ain't dissing Solar Flare, it's one of the strongest techniques in all DBZ, but I'm going to place her at upper low tier since we need to see more of what she can do. Now at number 17, we have Katsuki Bakugo and his quirk Explosion, which allows him to secrete nitroglycerin like sweat from his sweat glands on the palm of his hands and ignite it, which leads to the explosion. He does not suffer from the impact of his explosions, which gives him an immunity to his own explosions. However, since his quirk relies on his hands sweating, it is more difficult for his quirk to work in colder climates. Now again, we have someone who has a very powerful quirk and has managed to make it very versatile. He can use his explosions to propel himself forward and change his trajectory while in midair, and has recently even learned to compress his explosions to create a concentrated beam blast with his new move, AP Shot. So we got a pretty broken mother over here, and his aggressive hot-blooded nature reminds me of a certain someone. I just can't place my finger on it. Well, whatever, I'll be placing him at upper high tier. And now at number 18, we have the student with the most heart that started with nothing, the class underdog, the current successor of One For All, Izuku Midoriya, aka Deku! Fuck yeah, people! Now, I'm pretty sure you all know what Deku's power is, so I'm going to keep it short. One For All grants Deku superhuman strength, speed, and greatly enhanced agility and mobility by spreading his power through his body. However, we know that Deku can't go all out yet without hurting himself, so he developed a technique named One For All Full Cal that allows him to access 5% of One For All's total power. So seeing as Deku was the only person to have forced Todoroki to use his fire side during the UA Sports Festival arc, and has gotten even better at using One For All since then, I believe it is fair to say that Deku is at the very least standard high tier to upper high tier. He can honestly be either one, but for the sake of this list, he'll be placed at standard high tier. Now at number 19, we have Class 1A's biggest pervert coming in at a height of 3'6", aka 108 centimeters, Minoru Mineta, with his extremely powerful quirk Pop-Off, which allows him to produce and pull a sticky substance that happens to be in the shape of a ball from his head. And the duration of its adhesive quality is determined by by his overall health. Now, he can pull a large amount of these balls from his head. However, if he pulls too many, he will start to bleed. Alright guys, this one was the hardest one for me to decide because man, he can go up against the strongest fighters in his class. I'm talking Bakugo, Tokoyami, Deku, and even Total fucking Roki, man. Alright, on a serious note, he's trash. I'm sorry guys, but it's true. He has a useful quirk, no doubt about that, but I really can't see him being a fighter. He can be great support though. I think he's really funny if that counts for anything. So I'll be placing him at standard low tier. Now we finally made it to the last one at number 20. We have Class 1A's Vice President Momo Yaoyorozu. Or as I like to say, just Momo. With her quirk creation, which gives her the ability to create any non-living material from her uncovered body through the molecular manipulation of her fat cells. Lucky bastard. She first has to have an understanding of how something is made before she can create it. And it is understood that the more she eats, the more material she has to work with. I fucking knew it. I want this power. Also, it takes her a longer period of time as well as more of her skin being exposed to create large objects. Now, I know what many of you guys are thinking. She gotta be pretty high up there, right? Well, yeah, she is, but maybe not as much as you guys would think. For me personally, I will not be impressed with her until she's shitting out fucking full-on tanks, man. That metal stick ain't going to fly anymore. So I'll be placing her at upper mid tier. Now to see the complete list with all the students on it. Voila! Oh no, no, that's the beta version. No, oh yeah, now that this came up, I might as well say it. I had been working on this video for the last 3 weeks. Now, I'm not going to say this video took me 3 weeks to make, but I started it, then I got really busy with college, and I had to postpone it for later. And then to top that off, the new recent chapters that have been coming out were messing up my list because certain characters got a lot better and I had to keep making adjustments. So yeah, sorry about the late video, that was my bad guys. And here's the complete final list, at least for now. Boom! And there you have it, my personal power scaling list for UA Class 1A. I hope you liked it. Comment down below what you thought of my list. Do you agree with it? Would you place some students higher, some lower? I would love to hear about it. And oh yeah, rate the video. Feel free to subscribe to this channel if you guys are new. I would really appreciate it. Catch you guys later, and as always people, stay gold!